Hey YouTube, it's Nick here. Welcome back to the channel. So today's video is going to be about my investing roadmap for the rest of 2026. Now, I've recently done a video about how I'm investing in just August alone. I'll leave a link to that down in the description, but this is going to encapsulate what I'm going to be doing for the entire year and basically moving forward. So this will be a four-part video. It's going to go into four phases. The phase one will be establishing my foundation. Second phase will be expanding into individual stocks. The third phase will be strengthening my cash position. And then the fourth one is going to basically be full automation. So we're going to hop straight into it. Phase one was establishing my foundation, which I completed. So the main objective was to build a core, right? Right here, as you see, this is going to be my entire investment portfolio, at least what I'm showing to the public. Now, I get a 15% match through the company I work for. Every paycheck, it goes into their stock. So I have that going on in the background. And then I also do daily deposits into my Roth IRA as well too. Now, to add a disclaimer, one, this isn't financial advice. Two, I'm not someone that's banking and racking in a lot of money either. I am a retail investor. So this video should kind of connect, especially with someone who doesn't even know where to start, or you're probably scared of doing it, or you probably have just been waiting too long. So the whole point is that I'm not starting out with a lot of cash. I'm not dumping in $100,000. I'm like, all right, let's grow this portfolio or anything like that. I'm not doing $100 a week or anything like. I mean, sometimes I have, but this has basically been an entire portfolio that's been established from me doing about $1 to $5 a day, starting off at just one because a little bit of last year, like I've gone through some points where I was barely cutting it close, and I got tired of that. So I knew that maybe I could cut some things out, and I could at least maybe even just put $1 in a day. I kept telling myself that if I can even at least do that, then we can make something happen. And this kind of started this year. I've been investing, but I would kind of pull my money out a lot. So I was never in it for the long haul. But this year, I've been in it for the long haul. Now, what's basically motivated me to start this video was going to be my owning one share of QQQM in equities, which is basically an ETF that tracks the NASDAQ 100. Now, the accomplishments that I did when going towards building my foundations, that I built my ETF foundation, I completed my goal of owning that one share, continuing to build VOO as my largest holding, which tracks the S&P 500, and I've maintained Bitcoin exposure. Now, as you will see, Bitcoin is going to be the main thing that is driving this portfolio. It's an asset I believe in strongly. I really don't think it's going to go low, and I think it's going to be here for years to come. So I have about 0.04 of that. I feel like I feel like I put enough capital into it, and as you see, compared to the equity side of the screen, it's a lot. We have over $3,000 in Bitcoin, and then the next largest thing to that would be Ethereum, and then VOO. Now, for me, when I track my equities, I consider VOO, QQQM, and SCHD, as you see right here. I consider those all the same thing. I kind of bunch them in together because I like those are the main things that I want to drive at least the equity side of my portfolio. Now, I've done the math. I'm about over 60% allocated into Bitcoin. So my plan is to kind of not focus on that. I talk a little bit more about that in my August video for how I'm investing when August starts, and basically how I plan to still accumulate Bitcoin without deploying any new capital and just getting yield and rewards. If you want to know more about that, I'll leave a card up in the left hand or the right hand part of the screen. You can click on that and you can watch that later if you even want to do that too. You literally don't even have to put any of your own money into it if you want to take advantage of this. So I think that's some good information and it's free. Now, the main thing is that we're focusing on stocks now. That is the key thing. So I've achieved that one share of QQQM. As you see here, we're basically up about 1%. This is our total return. Reason why is because one, I've invested into it daily, and two, tech has been taking a dump. So there's a lot of opportunities that are opening up in the market as well. And again, this isn't financial advice. I'm not someone that just came on here with thousands of dollars or hedge fund manager or built a business or anything like that. Like I'm someone that started all this from just doing $1 or $5 a day. And I figured why not document this because whenever I get fixated and motivated to do something, I become obsessed with it so I don't stop. So that's the same thing when it comes to investing. I'm not going to stop, but I want to be a little bit more strategic and practical about how I'm doing it. So with QQQM, I already have exposure to a lot of tech. We have Apple, we have Nvidia, Microsoft, Micron Technology, Amazon, AMD, Google, Broadcom, and Meta. And honestly, these are all companies I wouldn't mind holding like individually as well too. But I want a diversified portfolio. That's the main thing with this. Now, this will take us into phase two. Phase two is going to be expanding into those individual stocks. Now, I'm gonna basically be buying companies that I believe in. Like that's literally it. There's a lot of companies I believe in and that I think will be here for the next 5, 10, even 15 or even 20 years. Now, the strategy with this is even though I'm going to be buying individual stocks, I'm still going to be allocating majority of the new capital that I'm putting in into the S&P 500 VOO. And I'm gonna slowly add these individual companies. And I'm not even gonna hold you. I'm gonna this portfolio is gonna have a lot of new tickers after this month and moving forward. And I don't have necessarily a limit of where I'll stop, but it's gonna be a lot in here, and we're gonna just be diversifying across multiple industries, and we're gonna build those positions over time, just not at once. Now, the reason why I'm gonna be doing it the way I'm doing it is because I know that if I want the best returns it would just be to put my money into a low cost index fund like the S&P 500. And if I do want any exposure to growth, just QQQM. That would be fine on its own. But I want more. And there's a lot of companies I believe in, so I want more exposure to them. And it's not necessarily like I know I'll be overlapping a little bit, but if anything, this is just me having more conviction into the companies that I already have exposure to, if that makes sense. So if you look, we've added a few we have Microsoft. I spoke about this in recent videos. This is I basically got this because someone signed up through my link through Robinhood. So if you want a free stock, you can get anywhere from $5 to $200. That'll be in the link in the description as well too. You get a free stock if you sign up through it if you've never had a Robinhood brokerage account. So we already got exposure to that, and it's up about 9 cents. I also added Google, AMD, and Micron Technology. I feel like those were some good deals that I saw out there. And keep in mind, this is not a lot of money. I am a retail investor, so I'm gonna be like allocating maybe 2, 3, or even $5 a week into some of these companies. Now, the key with this is that we're on Robinhood it's only going to show my allocation percentage based on what I have just in that brokerage. So if I put $5 in a company, it's going to show up as about 0.5%, at least right now, because there's roughly $1,000 in that account. Now, the maximum allocation size would be 5%, and that's not necessarily 5% for Robinhood. Whereas in my whole portfolio, 5% would be about we're looking at over $200 if we consider the entire investment portfolio, which would be we're actually approaching 5K almost. So, and that's going to be another video for another day. So, 5% of all of this would be 250. Now, in just Robinhood alone, 5% of this would just be about $50. And that's going to be the first phase of phase two, if that makes sense. So let's say I'm allocating to AMD or Micron Technology or an NVIDIA. I'm already going to get the exposure because I'm probably going to put $5 or $10 into it, but the maximum allocation size is only going to be 5% of the entire portfolio. So on Robinhood, that'll be the first goal for any company I add. I'll try and get to about $50 in each position, and then if I do have a larger conviction in the asset that I'm purchasing, then I'm gonna at least have it go no higher than 200 or 250. And this will change over time because most of the money I'm gonna be allocating into the Robinhood part of my portfolio will also inherently increase what a 5% would be. Because if I'm already going to keep doing my reoccurring buys of VOO. That's the main thing that's going to get my attention in SEHD. Say what you want, but SEHD is constantly hitting new all-time highs it's adding some it's almost acting as a hedge a little way in my portfolio. We've had some bad days in this market and SCHD has kept me in the green. And over time, as I get older, I want to be able to have access to the dividends that are being paid out from this. So it doesn't look like much now, but imagine if I keep doing this for the next 20 to 30 years. And I'm up there. I'm young, but I'm not that young. I wish I knew this when I was 19, but it's okay. You start when you can. But VOO is going to be the main thing. No matter what, we're going to be doing $5 a day. That's non-negotiable with VOO. Now, there's some days where there might be a pullback, or if we go below my average price, we'll allocate some more capital into it. But I want VOO to be almost competing with Bitcoin in terms of how much capital that's in it, if that makes sense. So Bitcoin is almost at $3,200 of what's been, or $3,300 of what's been allocated into it. So I want almost just as much into VOO. But the main part of this phase is going to be we're going to be adding individual companies, and there's a lot on my list. So I've only just added a few today. Because of how the market's been acting, but we will be adding, we will be adding more Google. We will be adding Meta soon. We will be adding Apple. We'll be adding a bunch, and there's a lot more that I have on my watch list. So we're going to be adding a company called Celsius. If you've heard energy drink, we're going to be adding that. We're going to be adding Nike. I've been wanting to add Cheesecake Factory, but I just figured I'd put the money into the ETFs first. And I've also been allocating money into Bitcoin as well too this month. So I just been sticking with my DCA plan, even though I've been watching on the sidelines for some of these companies. We're also going to be adding a company like American Express as well too. SoFi Technology. We're going to be adding so a lot. It's going to be a lot, but we're going to be strategic about how we're adding and allocating into those. So if we have a lower conviction in whichever one that we're allocating to, we're just going to keep it at about $50. If we have a larger conviction, we're going to increase it to about 250. And if over time any sentiment that I have, if it changes with these companies, then I'll either sell them and I'll rotate it into something else or keep it as cash. And that helps us transition into phase three, which will be strengthening my cash position. So this one is going to be the meat and potato of the video. It's going to be to increase financial flexibility. So I have held off on investing for a long time. When I have invested in things like Bitcoin or stocks or anything like that, I've always eventually sold out of it because I had mismanaged my funds. If that, to tell you the truth, I mismanaged, so I would have to sell because like the money was there, but if I did, also if I understood how much I was allocating and budgeting for if I could sustain it and not spending money on things that probably didn't necessarily benefit me, I probably would have never had to sell out of those earlier positions. And honestly, this might even be a bigger portfolio right now. But the whole goal is going to be to reduce financial stress, handle unexpected expenses, avoid selling the investments, which we haven't sold anything. The only thing I've sold this year when I needed cash was gold. That was it. But we've started reallocating into gold too. There's just certain prices that I'm looking to do that at. And I also want to be ready if any opportunities do arise. This is actually the time where most of the tech and everything around is kind of falling. We also have geopolitical issues. So it wouldn't be a bad time to strengthen a cash position. But I also want that cash earning a high yield savings as well too. So that's the main thing. I don't want to allocate a lot of money, or at least not as much money as I've been doing uh, for this whole year, honestly. And it's not going to be wasted money because it will be giving me a yield. So we're not going to show it now, but there's no cash position. I'm gonna start all of this basically in August as well too. We're gonna have a set amount of money that's left over at the end of each month, and then we're just gonna build it. So my plan is to have some of it sit on Coinbase, so it can earn a yield there, and then I'm gonna have some of it sit on Robinhood as well to earn a yield here. And I'm contemplating getting the bank account for the extra 15% yield, but that's going to be the main focus for the rest of the year is building these individual companies because let's say I do hit the milestones for all the companies that I do want to add. Once I hit about $50, I'm not going to touch it for a minute until I get another company that I want added. And the only time that I'll even add into those positions is if it goes below the average cost that I already paid, to be honest with you. I'm not going to invest in it on the green days. I'm only going to invest in it if it's a red day. So if it's like AMD, as you see right here, if it's a red day, then I'll probably put three, four, $5 into it. If it's MU, if it's below honestly $800 or anything that's below 1,000 at this point, but if it's below like 800 or $900, I'll put like two, three, $4 into it. Now once it hits 50, we'll just kind of let it sit and then we'll add more. And then as I keep growing that base, if I do feel strongly about anything, then I will increase that to about 250. But that'll be the max. That's the thing. Not that'll be the max. VOO is going to stay the king of this portfolio. And like I said a little bit earlier, I don't necessarily consider VOO, QQQM, and SCHD as separate entities. I consider those all as one. So if we do, we're looking at about 70+% almost of my portfolio allocation into ETFs, and that's the goal. But I want to be able to have a diversification out, true diversification, and then eventually we'll add what's it called the international markets as well too. And then last but not least will be phase four. So thanks for getting to this point. We're just going to let all of this happen automatically. So the end goal will eventually be to keep my ETFs on automatic investing. Keep automated Bitcoin purchases, which those will be automated through my other method that I'm going to be using to do it. I'm going to automate the stock purchases, automate transfers to savings, and then I'm going to review and rebalance periodically instead of constantly watching the market. That's the real thing. There's a lot of things that I'm trying to do. And not that I necessarily do it now. Like I look at it to see what's happening. And since I've also been doing videos about the market, I have to watch the market in a way if I'm going to make content on it. But we're just going to be consistent. So the main things you need to take away from this is that we're going to be investing for decades. We're going to keep VOO as our foundation in the stocks. I want to own some great businesses. I want to diversify and I want to continue learning. One of the things that I'm going to be learning is to how to read and truly understand balance sheets as well too. That way, if there is maybe some opportunity out there that no one's talking about, I want to be able to catch that, and I need to be able to understand PE ratios and these margins on these companies. So that's one thing that I will be looking at least into learning, and just kind of listening to conference calls. That's the next thing I want to start doing as well too. So that way, a lot of the decisions I make, you might see some weird companies in this portfolio in the future, but I want to have at least a reason why I'm adding these weird companies as well too. So if I can spot some good opportunities out there, I want to be the first person to take advantage of it. Because if I spot something when no one else is talking about it, I have the opportunity for even more gains. When everyone's talking about it, you're not going to make that much. So that's the main thing. And then we're just going to stay consistent. So I hope you like the video. That's really the plan. We're going to build cash. We're going to add some good companies in here, and this is something that the person watching this, especially if you got to this point, this is something that you can do as well too. I started this portfolio by doing just $1 a day, but or $5 a day or things like that. So it's not a lot of money that's been going up in here. It's just we're about 7 months into the year now. There's some times where I felt a little froggy and I added more um than what I was automating every day into the market, whether that was Bitcoin or Ethereum or gold or anything like that. But you can do it too. So even if it's just $1 or $3 a day. Now I know it might not seem like much, but over time I think I'm gonna be happy with what I'm buying. So if you made it to this point of the video, like it if you did, subscribe if you are new. Let me know if you are investing or if you're on the fence about it, or if you have a bigger portfolio than I do. Let me know. But I'll check you guys on the next video. I hope this was helpful. And this also is going to serve as basically me going in a time machine when I look back to see how everything turned out as well too. So thanks for watching. Hope you have a good day. Bye.